From colored snacks to hormone-boosted meat, the US takes some interesting liberties in the kitchen. So it's no surprise that some of these foods just won't fly in other parts of the world. At the top of that list is Skittles. You'd think tasting the rainbow would be safe, right? Not so much if you're in Austria or Norway, where they've put the brakes on these candies due to some colorful concerns. Skittles are loaded with yellow 5 and red 40 dyes, which studies have linked to hyperactivity in kids and even DNA damage. And then there's titanium dioxide, another ingredient that helps make those colors pop, but is suspected of causing cancer. For Europe, it's a hard pass on Skittles. But the US? We say, taste that rainbow in moderation. Mountain Dew. Mountain Dew isn't just a drink, it's an energy-boosting lifestyle in a bottle. But in countries in Europe, that neon yellow hue is a big no-no. And the culprit is yellow 5, also known as tartrazine, which has been linked to migraines and other health issues. The caffeine and sugary rush of doing the do may be part of its charm, but Austria and Norway would rather play it safe and skip the vibrant vibes and potential side effects of this all-American favorite. 3. Little Debbie Swiss Rolls. Little Debbie Swiss Rolls are the classic sweet treat for the school lunchboxes across America. But when it comes to countries like Austria and Norway, Little Debbie's got a bit too much going on. These chocolatey delights are packed with the same yellow 5 and red 40 dyes, which studies suggest may even harm white blood cells over time. They're also banned in the European Union for kids, where the sweets come with a warning label similar to cigarettes, so better think twice before snacking. 4. Pop-Tarts. Pop-Tarts are a breakfast staple in the US, known for their sweet fillings and frosted tops. But if you're hoping to pop one in the toaster in Norway or Austria, think again. These treats contain yellow 5, yellow 6, and red 40, all artificial dyes linked to hyperactivity in children and potential health risks like allergies. In Europe, any foods with these colors require a warning label, and some countries ban them outright. So while they might be a quick breakfast fix stateside, Pop-Tarts are off the menu in parts of Europe for safety's sake. 5. Ritz Crackers. Ritz crackers seem harmless enough, light, crispy, and perfect with cheese. However, these snack crackers contain partially hydrogenated oils or trans fats, which are banned in countries like Switzerland and Denmark. Trans fats have been shown to increase the risk of heart disease and high cholesterol. While these golden rounds are popular in the US, their unhealthy fat content makes them a no-go in parts of Europe. So if you're craving Ritz in Switzerland, you'll have to settle for a healthier alternative. 6. Coffee Mate. Coffee Mate is the go-to coffee creamer for many Americans who want a quick, creamy fix, but in several countries, it's off the shelves. The reason? Trans fats again. Coffee Mate contains partially hydrogenated oils that, like in Ritz crackers, are linked to heart disease and other health issues. While it might make your coffee taste smooth and rich, in Europe, they've taken the stance that it's better to go black than go with the creamer. 7. Gatorade. Gatorade is famous for keeping athletes hydrated, but some versions of this drink contain brominated vegetable oil, commonly known as BVO. This acts as an emulsifier to keep ingredients mixed. While this might be fine in the US, it's a different story in Japan, where BVO is banned. The concern is that BVO is linked to memory loss and skin issues, and it's also used as a flame retardant. For European athletes, Gatorade might be too much of a sports drink experience. They'd rather hydrate with safer options. 8. Frosted Flakes. Frosted Flakes, with their sugary crunch, are a breakfast classic in the US, but don't expect them to show up in your bowl in Japan or the European Union. These sweet flakes contain BHT, butylated hydroxytoluene, a preservative that's been linked to cancer in animal studies. BHT keeps Frosted Flakes fresh longer, but Japan and parts of Europe are wary of its potential health risks. For them, the risk of Tony the Tiger just isn't worth the crunch. 9. Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is one of the most recognized brands globally, but there are two countries where you won't find it: North Korea and Cuba. Unlike the other foods on this list, the reason isn't health concerns, but politics. Due to long-standing U.S. trade embargoes, Coca-Cola hasn't been sold in these countries since the 1950s and 60s. So while Coke is everywhere else, political boundaries mean it's still off-limits in these parts of the world. 10. Raw milk. Raw milk or unpasteurized milk is banned in Canada, Scotland, and several other countries. While some believe raw milk has extra nutrients and richer flavor, the lack of pasteurization means it can carry harmful bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli. These countries consider it too risky to allow, so only pasteurized milk makes the cut. In the US, raw milk is allowed in some states, but elsewhere, they're sticking with a safer, pasteurized option. 11. Chicken with chlorine bath. Yes, you heard that right. Chicken washed in chlorine. In the US, some chicken is rinsed with a chlorine solution to kill bacteria, but the EU's not on board. Researchers have found that chlorine causes respiratory issues and digestive tract problems. The EU banned this practice, saying that food safety should start on the farm, not in the chlorine bath. They prefer higher hygiene standards in the farming process, but here in the US, it's still on the shelves. 12. Dairy with RBST hormone. Recombinant bovine somatotropin is a synthetic hormone used in the U.S. to boost milk production in cows. However, RBST can lead to health issues in cows like infections, and some studies suggest it might pose health risks to humans as well. Canada, Japan, and the EU banned RBST in dairy for animal welfare and health reasons, while the U.S. still allows it. In these countries, milk comes without the added hormone boost. 13. Special K. Special K cereal, just like a lot of other cereals, contains BHT, a chemical used to keep it fresh, but it has been linked to hormone problems. Countries like Japan, the EU, and the UK have banned it entirely. Many European brands have switched to natural preservatives due to safety concerns. But BHT is still common in some foods in very small amounts. 14. Fresca. Fresca is a refreshing soda loved by many, but not by regulators in Europe. With a name that means fresh, you would expect that the ingredients used are fresh also. However, Fresca is banned across the EU for using brominated vegetable oil, or BVO. It helps in keeping that citrusy flavor mixed in, but BVO is also linked to nervous system and thyroid issues when consumed regularly. Europe didn't want to take the chance, so no Fresca there. 15. Campbell's Chicken Noodle Soup. Campbell's Chicken Noodle Soup, a favorite in American homes, isn't as accepted in some other countries. That is because of MSG. This ingredient boosts the soup's savory taste, but has stirred up concerns over the years. Some people report symptoms like headaches and dizziness after consuming MSG, leading it to be limited or banned in certain foods. In Europe, stricter food rules keep MSG in check, which means Campbell's soup isn't always available there. 16. Drumstick frozen desserts. Drumstick fans? This one's for you. These frozen treats are beloved in the US, but the EU has some serious doubts due to an ingredient called carrageenan, which helps stabilize the ice cream, but has been linked to digestive issues and inflammation. It's restricted in parts of Europe, and for those looking out for their stomach health, it's one ingredient that's hard to stomach. 17. Pork with ractopamine. When it comes to pork, the US allows ractopamine, a growth-promoting drug that helps pigs build lean muscle faster. But over 160 countries, including the EU, China, and Russia, have banned pork treated with it. Why? Studies show ractopamine can cause rapid heart rates and tremors, leading to concerns over its safety in humans. So while it's popular for production efficiency here, many countries aren't convinced it's safe enough to serve. 18. Bread with potassium bromate. Bread might be the staff of life, but not when it's made with potassium bromate. This dough-strengthening additive has been banned across Europe, Canada, and China due to its potential to cause cancer. Potassium bromate has been shown to pose risks in animal studies, and these countries have chosen safer alternatives. It's one of those cases where a tiny ingredient can make a big impact on health. 19. Stovetop stuffing. When Thanksgiving prep is tight, stovetop stuffing is a lifesaver. Just add water and you're good to go. But in many parts of the world, this boxed stuffing is banned for containing BHA and BHT, preservatives used to keep it shelf-stable. Studies have raised concern that these additives may be carcinogenic. So while Americans enjoy stovetop at holiday feasts, many other countries say no thanks to stuffing with a side of chemicals. 20. Farm-raised salmon. While farm-raised salmon might look like a healthy option, its rosy color doesn't come from nature. These fish are often fed synthetic astaxanthin to give them a more appealing color, but Australia and New Zealand aren't on board. This artificial additive has been linked to vision damage, making it a no from them. So while Americans might get a salmon fillet from the grocery store, down under, they're sticking with the wild-caught kind for a more natural color and taste. 21. M&Ms. Everyone loves a bag of M&Ms for a quick, colorful chocolate fix. But in Sweden, this iconic candy is a no-go. And not just because of the dyes. In Sweden, M&M's has a trademark dispute with a natural candy brand that also used a lowercase m as its logo. Besides the legal battles, some M&Ms contain artificial dyes restricted in parts of Europe, adding to the ban. So in Sweden, if you're craving M&Ms, you might have to settle for another sweet treat. 22. Fruit Loops. Fruit Loops are practically a rainbow in a bowl, but in Japan, they're off limits. Fruit Loops are packed with artificial colors and preservatives like BHT, which is linked to hyperactivity in children and potential carcinogenic effects. While Americans enjoy their fruity cereal with a splash of milk, other countries feel those bright colors should come from nature, not chemicals, leaving Fruit Loops out of the breakfast options abroad. 23. Doritos Light. At first, Doritos Light aimed to be the lighter, healthier option for snack lovers, but they brought something extra: olestra. Olestra is a fat substitute that can't be absorbed by the body, but it also comes with some unpleasant side effects like digestive issues. Banned in Canada and the UK, olestra has had a rough reception due to its reputation for causing intestinal distress. So while Doritos Light may be a choice for some in the US, snackers in other countries say, no thanks. 24. American chicken. In the US, chicken often goes through a chlorine bath before hitting store shelves to kill bacteria like salmonella. However, the EU banned this practice over concern that it's just a quick fix for potentially unhygienic conditions in poultry farms. They argue that proper hygiene standards should start with the farms, not with a chlorine rinse. In Europe, this chemical bath makes American chicken seem less tasty, so it's kept out of stores altogether. 25. Wheat Thins. Wheat Thins may sound like a wholesome light snack, but they also contain BHT, a preservative linked to cancer in some studies. While Americans love munching on Wheat Thins with cheese or dip, other countries prefer to keep it simple and safe when it comes to their crackers, giving Wheat Thins the boot from grocery shelves. 26. Pillsbury Biscuits. Pillsbury biscuits are a go-to for easy, flaky baked goods in the US, but in countries like the UK and Japan, they're banned. These convenient, ready-to-bake rolls contain trans fats, which are linked to heart disease. While popping open a can of Pillsbury biscuits is a staple of American breakfasts, other countries choose to play it safe with their baking and keep these off their shelves. 27. Sun-Kissed Soda. Sun-Kissed is a soda that brings bright citrus flavor and sunshine to your taste buds. But it's also packing some artificial color that's banned in places like Norway and Austria. Sun-Kissed contains yellow 5 and red 40, two artificial dyes linked to many health issues, so it's a flat-out no for Sun-Kissed. Looks like they're getting their citrus fix from more natural sources. 28. Instant Mashed Potatoes. Instant mashed potatoes are a quick fix for a comforting meal, but the additives in some brands have led to a ban in parts of Europe. These fluffy potatoes often contain BHA and BHT, preservatives, and while they help keep the product shelf-stable, many countries prefer fresh or minimally processed options. So if you're craving mashed potatoes in Europe, you'll likely have to start with actual spuds. 29. Tostitos Salsa con Queso Dip. This dip is a go-to dip for chips, but just like a lot of stuff in America, its vibrant color comes from yellow 5 and yellow 6, which are artificial dyes banned in Norway and Austria. While it's a party favorite in the US, the dip's chemical additives make it a no-go in parts of Europe, where snack foods often steer clear of artificial colors. They're keeping it real with natural ingredients instead. 30. Lucky Charms. Lucky Charms have been delighting kids and adults in the US for so many decades with their marshmallow shapes, but their colors also come from artificial dyes like Yellow 5, Yellow 6, and Red 40. While Americans can't imagine a world without their Lucky Charms, other countries are less charmed by the additives and still stick to more natural options. 31. Farmed Shrimp. Farmed shrimp is a common sight in US grocery stores, but in Europe and Australia, it's often banned. Farmed shrimp are usually treated with antibiotics and chemicals to ward off diseases and parasites, especially in crowded conditions. These additives may leave harmful residues in the shrimp, posing health risks. A lot of countries prefer to stick with wild-caught shrimp to avoid the potential health hazards associated with farm-raised varieties. 32. Coffee Mate. Coffee Mate is an amazing fix for creamy coffee, but it's loaded with trans fats, making it a no-go in places like Denmark, Norway, and Switzerland. While many Americans reach for it to start their day, other countries are opting for natural cream or milk, leaving Coffee Mate out of their coffee routines. 33. Apples with diphenylamine. You may be wondering, aren't apples like the ultimate health food? Well, not in the European Union, as certain American apples are banned if they've been treated with diphenylamine, a chemical used to prevent browning. The EU raised concerns that DPA could break down into potentially carcinogenic compounds. Europe prefers its fruit without the extra gloss, prioritizing safety over appearance for their apple eaters. 34. Pillsbury Pie Crust. Pillsbury Pie Crust is an easy option for pie lovers in the US, but it contains BHA and BHT, preservatives that keep it fresh but have raised red flags internationally. Linked to potential cancer risks, these preservatives had led to Pillsbury Pie Crust being banned in countries like Japan, the UK, and parts of Europe. While it's a go-to for quick, delicious pies in the States, other countries prefer their pastries with fewer chemical preservatives. 36. Chewing gum with BHA. Chewing gum might be a casual snack, but if it also contains BHA, it won't even make it past customs in the European Union. BHA is a preservative that has shown potential cancer-causing effects in animal studies, leading to its ban in several countries. 37. Instant ramen. Instant ramen is the ultimate quick-fix meal in the US, but in Japan and parts of Europe, it's sometimes banned due to the preservative TBHQ, tertiary butyl hydroquinone. This additive has been linked to weakened immune systems and even neurotoxic effects in high doses. 38. American beef. Beef is a staple in the American diet, but in Europe, it's a different story. American beef often contains synthetic growth hormones, which are banned in the EU due to concerns about potential health risks, including hormone-related cancers. 39. Coffee creamers with partially hydrogenated oils. American coffee creamers like Coffee Mate contain partially hydrogenated oils or trans fats, which adds a smooth texture but also increases the risk of heart disease. Trans fats are banned in countries like Switzerland, Denmark, and Austria, so these creamers are off limits. While they're a popular choice for making coffee rich and creamy in the US, other countries would rather keep it natural, sticking with milk or cream that doesn't pose a health risk. 44. Rice Krispies. Rice Krispies are a fun and nostalgic breakfast treat in the US, but in Japan and parts of Europe, they're banned due to BHT, a preservative linked to cancer in animal studies. Though BHT keeps the cereal fresh, the health risks associated with it are enough for some countries to leave Rice Krispies off the shelves. So while Americans enjoy their snap, crackle, and pop, other countries skip the morning ritual for something less risky. 47. Arby's Baked Goods. Arby's is famous for its roast beef, but their baked goods like sandwich bread and breakfast biscuits are banned in Europe. The reason? These breads contain azodicarbonamide, a chemical used to whiten flour and improve dough strength. The problem? This same chemical is used in producing yoga mats and has been linked to respiratory issues. While Americans can grab an Arby's sandwich without a second thought, European countries have to choose to keep their bread a bit less flexible. 48. Sugarcane with atrazine. Did you know that sugarcane grown in the US often involves a controversial herbicide called atrazine? Atrazine is used to control weeds, but it's also been found to seep into waterways where it can disrupt wildlife and potentially impact human health. It's linked to hormone disruption and may even contribute to reproductive issues. Europe decided it wasn't worth the risk and banned it entirely. So while it might help sugarcane production, atrazine raises a lot of red flags outside the US. 49. Flamin' Hot Cheetos. Flamin' Hot Cheetos, everyone's favorite spicy snack, but the bright red and orange colors you love actually come from artificial dyes, specifically Red 40 and Yellow 6. Studies have shown Red 40 could potentially lead to hyperactivity in kids, and there are concerns about allergic reactions too. Some European countries have limited their use, while the US still allows them. And here's an interesting fact. Some schools in the US have even banned Flamin' Hot Cheerios themselves due to their addictive nature and lack of nutritional value. 50. Oreo cookies. Finally, who doesn't love Oreos, right? But here's the thing. Oreos contain partially hydrogenated oils, also known as trans fats, which are heavily restricted in parts of Europe. Trans fats are linked to an increased risk of heart disease and stroke. They've been so controversial that the US even phased them out in most foods. However, some processed snacks in America, like Oreos, may still have trace amounts. So whether you're an American foodie or just curious about global tastes, the next time you reach for one of those iconic snacks, remember, not everyone in the world gets to enjoy them. Let me know in the comments which banned foods surprised you the most and which one you'd still try if you could.